Have you ever experienced something so crippling in your life that has made you feel broken? I have. Are you someone who has a giving heart but is struggling to feel good themselves? Are you consistently putting your needs aside to take care of everyone else? If so, you're not alone. Giving starts with giving to yourself so that you are able to give of yourself to other people. Isn't it time you took back control and discovered what makes you tick? Join me in my journey and find out how you can feel better about yourself, live your best life, and share that with others. Thinking of yourself, it doesn't make you selfish, it makes you brave. I'm Nelia, and this is the Giving Starts With You podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Giving Starts With You podcast. I'm your host, Nelia Hutt, and I am so thrilled and grateful for you to come again another week, another episode number 142. I cannot believe it's already 142, but thank you for joining us and thank you for all your comments and just your support. And that's what we're here for, to end loneliness and really support one another through our journey. I am so excited. I've got these two lovely ladies joining me today. Dr. Elizabeth Rainwater and Dr. Latonya Rainwater. How are you ladies today?
Hi, I'm great.
Awesome. You're in Atlanta?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. I can't wait to get into our conversation. It's going to be so great. Thank you again for joining me. I know how busy you are, and I know how dedicated you are to helping people. So I really appreciate it. I'm going to let you guys know a little bit more about my fantastic guests today. So Dr. Elizabeth Rainwater and Dr. Latonya Rainwater, they are sisters first and foremost, are two Atlanta-based entrepreneurs, preachers, and educators. They have a background in psychology and spent years mentoring students in graduate school. Their passion for education is a big part of their journey, which turned into teaching ESL to students in China online for an education center in Florida. In teaching ESL, they both witnessed firsthand how just important it is to not only make certain that students are learning the material that they are taught, but that they are maintaining and expanding on it. I love this so much. You just want to make sure that they grasp everything, right? While teaching, it was clear that every student has different learning styles and that the curriculum needed altering to fit their educational needs. It was not intuition, but was a tug on the heart. I love that you guys are so passionate about this. They have also created this amazing resource. It's called ELR Shop, and I love how they came up with their name. It's the first initial, right, of Elizabeth, and the second initial, and then Rainwater, which is so great. And that can be found on the Etsy shop. It's full of amazing products and just amazing teaching tools to really help everyone learn in their own way. So thank you so much, ladies, for creating this. I love it so much.
Thank you.
One of the things I really wanted to touch base on too is the Giving Starts With You podcast is all about giving back. And I know that you both do a lot of mission work. And I know that in your world, you do a lot of helping people in addition to also in the education field. So I really want to touch a little bit about that today and just let's try to get everybody on board, and help one another and support each other in lots of different ways, and in education being one of them. So I'm excited for today. So yeah, first question people usually ask, I guess, is tell me a little bit about who you are so that, the audience can get to know you a little bit better. So who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Thanks, Latonya.
So I'm Dr. Latonya Rainwater. A little bit about me. It's kind of like what you just said a minute ago. I graduated from graduate school back in 2019, and I have a teaching psychology degree, amongst other degrees. But we'll just start right there. But in taking that, completing that degree, it really showed me how to put courses together, and also not only put courses together, but to actually bring a classroom together as well. So I love doing that because I noticed that in every degree program I ever completed, I'm always in a discussion board. I'm either leading it, either giving people instructions somehow because the teacher done favored me and said that you're so good at it, you teach it, kind of situation. So it just fit. And so, you know, and I also have just like Elizabeth, international certification for teach business as for people that's overseas internationally, as well as teaching kids from K through graduate school. So just putting those things together always been something we're passionate about, and mentoring. So I think that's what got us a little bit into teaching by accident. Never strive to do that, you know, to be a teacher. Just, you know, we did Bible study and we would teach and things like that. Just really good at it, but never something we aimed to do, you know, sitting here now, it's so far back. I don't even know what I wanted to do because it took a life on its own. And so teaching became everything. I think teaching and mentoring, we just have such a passion for young people. And if people look at our YouTube and follow our story, we have over 5 degrees, and that's not including certifications and license and everything else we ever did in history. But you can see that passion. You have to have some kind of passion for education that went through all that. You know, because somebody would have stopped, you know, if you're not passionate about it. And so, you know, we got such a passion for young kids that we want to see them succeed and go beyond that textbook, because you're going to need education out here. A lot of young folks do not believe that they get this far in school and they don't want to go to high school or finish it. They think, okay, let me get that over with and go take a GED and that's it. But there's more to it. These jobs are requiring more. They require more than a GED. They require associates, bachelors. And so you're finding yourself having to go back. And so that's why we do what we do with kids. We don't want them to end up there. We want them to do better.
Yeah, and I know for my own self that when it came to education, that I looked at everything like, you know, I'm receiving all this education and I'm learning, and I want someone else to learn the same thing that I learned as well, and maybe even take it even further, because I had times where I had to do a lot of things on my own. So I had to go doing some researching, and then like my sister, teaching other students. And then on top of that, when we were teaching ESL, because the program had ended in March, but we decided that, you know, we're going to put material and stuff out there, because we were like, when we were teaching, we were looking at all these things and we were like, it reminded us of when we were going to school growing up. If you didn't have a teacher that was passionate about teaching you, you were going to do it on your own, or you were going to have to go looking in the library, getting tutors, all kind of things. But for us, when we were growing up, our parents, they taught us whatever we didn't know. And if we were working on homework, they checked that. And we always had something extra to do. And they always made sure that we were learning beyond what we were being taught in school. And so when we looked across the screen when teaching these kids, we said, wait a minute, how come they don't know this here and they're going to the physical school and then they're coming over here online? This is extra. It was extra for them. And so we were like, they said that they learned this in school, and the kids would tell us that, you know, I didn't learn it. And then I said, well, how come they didn't learn this? And that's when I started interacting with the parents. And the parents was like, well, their kid was either sick or their kid, there's so many children in the classroom that they didn't get the attention that they needed to learn, or the child didn't understand because of language barriers.
Mm.
And so I remember when we were growing up that we were around a lot of different cultures because our dad was in the military. And so we got to talk with a lot of different kids from different places and stuff. So we were just very patient teachers. And if the kids didn't understand something, me and my sister would look at it and say, okay, well, how, what's going to make it easier for them?
Mm.
And we asked the kid, well, what do you like to do? And we looked at them and they're like, okay, I like to draw. Well, there's pictures missing from this lesson and stuff. So we're like, wait a minute here, this kid like to draw. Let's draw pictures up here so that you can understand what this sentence is.
I love that. Yes.
And then I was like, okay, well, now we got the picture and we got the sentences. Well, now that you understand I do this part, I want to see you write sentences and I want you to tell me what you learned out of this. And so when we started doing that, then the company, they were watching and they were like, wait a minute here, you're going beyond the time and you put extra to my lessons. And I said, but the student doesn't understand. I said, sometimes we get a student that's, advanced, and then sometimes we didn't. And even with the advanced student, we're like, okay, well, this part, well, let me teach you another part that you don't know. And so, a lot of times me and my sister got that phone call and stuff because we would go beyond it, because we're like, at the end of the day, we want these kids that were so passionate about learning. And we're like, if the kids have to take a test, because they were required to take a test just to fit in society, we're like, well, we want you to know whatever you can, as much as you can, so that you can have the best. And the parents, they started saying that, hey, my kid's not being taught right by their original teacher. I want you to stay on as their teacher and teach them what they need to know. But at the company that we had, we started off as like being teachers that would have students on our program weekly. But then they moved us to being like subs, because we were like taking all the students, all the parents over there and get on our schedule. And they're like, wait a minute, we don't have enough to go around. We want to give some to this teacher over here and that teacher. But the parents didn't want that person. And so they moved us from being original teachers to being subs. And so, when the parent would see us, they're like, I want you to be my child's teacher. And we said, I'm sorry, we can't, because the company moved us over here. They said, well, who do I got to call? And how do I get my kid over there with you? And they said, well, do you want to teach my kids? Said, I don't understand. And we had to explain to the parent that it wasn't our doing and that we would love to teach the kids. So that's why we said that, even before the program ended, that we want to create something that parents can find all over the world to continue teaching their kids.
Oh my God, I love this so much. You have no idea. There's so many things you said that I love. Okay, where do we start? So there's the whole thing about, okay, so education, we all know that it creates opportunity, right? And it is really, in this day and age, even more important than ever, because you're right. You can't just get a job and be satisfied and be able to be happy in your job, but also, feed your families and everything on just high school anymore. And so many kids get discouraged when they're trying and they're just not getting it because the resources aren't in place. Or like you said, the teachers, perhaps they're not as passionate, and you can't always blame the teachers because they do try to do their best with what they have. However, that child is either going to just pretend they understand because they're ashamed to say that they don't, or they're going to stop. Maybe they don't have the family environment where the parents give extra work. Maybe the parents don't, they're working 2-3 jobs and they don't have time, as much as they would like to. Sometimes it doesn't come, from a place of neglect. It's just, they honestly don't know. And a lot of parents don't have, my son is in grade 10 and his education is almost beyond mine now. Like even if I wanted to, I don't know that I could help him with certain things. So it's tough because what happens is these kids just stop. They just stop wanting to learn. They start to feel bad about themselves, their self-confidence. There's so much there, you know? And I love that you guys saw that. And instead of it making you feel heavy, oh my God, we got this big problem, you were like, no, 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 no. We're going to find a way to fix this because they need us, you know? So thank you so much for doing that, because I think that offers, you know, so much hope and stuff. And the other thing you said that I really loved is you found out, you asked the question. So you found out how the children learned. What was it that was missing? You didn't just assume, right? Because when we learn a certain way, we don't always know how the other people are learning or what they need. So I love that you guys asked the questions, because, you know, when you were just talking about how, okay, what are you passionate about? And he said drawing. And it's like, yes, we have to go back to the fundamental stuff, right? Got to keep their interest. I mean, there's video games out there now. People just don't want to do, you know what I mean? They just don't have the same work ethic as they used to. And we just got to teach that too, right? Yeah. And it was just, I love that. It's almost like if you ask a child, what do you like to do? And they're like, well, I like to tell stories and whatever. Well, let's tell a story. Let's figure out how we can turn the lesson into telling a story. So I want to say thank you, honestly, because I think you guys are changing the future. And I think that's, it's phenomenal. And I'm glad you love doing it, you know? I'm so impressed, and I'm so happy about this. Can you tell us about maybe one story where it has changed one of the children's lives that you have helped? One of your students, maybe.
So we've seen over thousands of kids.
Anybody stick in your mind?
You know, there's so many of them. You know, when I look at America, we are truly, truly blessed, because when you look at these countries, is that the conditions that they learn in. And me and my sister, we taught kids that was sleeping in tents. We taught kids that was in traffic and walking across the street, setting out in the public parks and things like that. The hospital was in hospital. Let's talk about the kid for the hospital. For me, there was this baby that was big baby that you know, he wanted to learn so bad that he didn't have to come to class that day. He was extremely sick. I mean, very sick, and sitting in the hospital with his mother, and it was just the saddest thing you could ever see. And this kid wanted so bad to learn, and I had to teach in that type of sadness kind of environment, but he wanted so badly to learn, and you could see him struggling. I think something was wrong with his voice, and he was just extremely sick in emergency room, and you could see the doctors and everything, and the mother, you know, trying to help her son because his speech is not quite right. And so I'm impressed by these kids because you know the environment that they're in. I've seen kids that they take them because they didn't have no light in the house, so they go outside to maybe a park, and they learn the internet may cut out, but they try to get it back, and I'm still teaching them. And the environment that they go through to even learn is just awesome, you know. So it upsets me sometimes when over here in America that we disregard education the way that we do. Like it's just something we can come back to, but with these in different countries, it's life. They have to learn it. They have to be good at what they do. And it kind of reminds me of me and my sister's upbringing, is that our parents, my mother didn't have the education. She never graduated from high school. I think she had like 9th grade level.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, he was military, so he graduated in academies and things like that. And you know, looking at that struggle that it was for my mom with GED and everything, and how my mother taught us from a very young age, you know, with barely speaking, of how to read and how to write and how to spell. And so when we got in school, we overseeded that. And, you know, taking us to libraries, you know, we learned how to cook at a very young age. And, you know, just that knowledge, you're like, what's that? And then like, you like, go get a book. You know, so we read that book from front to cover. You know, you know, a library is just, I was always so amazed about a library. It was like a venture for me growing up, because I could learn anything I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
And
renting videos. Our mom would rent videos out of the library. Anything that was educational, we was gonna see it.
We was gonna see it no matter what. And I sometimes laugh about it, but it wasn't funny at the time. But you know, we got good grades. But my dad now, they put us in summer school anyway. You know, because they're like, nah, you ain't gonna be out there doing just anything. I want you to learn. I want you to become something so that you can help others. It's about helping others. At a young age, we learned the value of money. We learned the value of treating people right. We learned the value of giving back. I mean, I can't tell you how many things we gave, but you know, we look at our parents, you know, and growing up, we would take brand new furniture, and we hadn't even had it for the longest. And my dad would give like furniture that's worth over $7,000 and give it to a family in need. You know, we didn't care. Whatever we give, one thing we was taught in our household, whatever we gave our best. If it wasn't our best, it wasn't going out that door. And we still apply that to these days. You know, they might be like professional clothing that we'll give away that never even worn. And just give it away to kids to go to interviews to get a job. And so you know, we want to give our best in this world.
Yeah, and our dad had also told us, mom told us, they said that, you know, and when you give to someone, they said, don't look for nothing back. They said, never look for nothing back. Always give from your heart. And, you know, expect great things from those people or that person, that they're going to do something great with it. And that's something that we've applied to everything that we do. I know that whenever we had taught Bible study, we had taught Bible study to kids in Pakistan online, and we had just got together as a family. We were like, okay, we're going to buy them some instruments because they loved it to do praise and worship. And we just bought a bunch of stuff and then sent it over there. And we're like, okay, what else do you need? And they're like, well, the kids need shoes. And we're like, okay, we're going to send some stuff over for some shoes and stuff. And we were paying for, you know, to have them to have food for Bible study and to keep the lights on stuff. Because we're like, you know, when we come for Bible study, we want to see everybody there. We don't want you to lack in nothing. And, you know, as the kids were always excited to see us. And the young lady that was teaching it, she had, she didn't like how her voice sounded. She was like, I got an accent. And she said that, you know, my people, they want to hear somebody American teach them. And I said, well, you know, I'm gonna tell you this one, that, you know, God created us to for a purpose, all of us. And I said, there's nothing wrong with your voice. And I said that, you know, she wanted so badly to be able to teach them Bible study, but she only knew so much. And so as we taught her, we're like, okay, I'm not coming this day. I want you to do it. I want you to do it. And I want you to, and she would film and everything. We're like, I want to see what you did. You know, even if it's a scripture, I want to see what you did. And I want you to carry it on, because I don't ever want you to feel like you're not confident enough to do that. And later on, we started seeing that, you know, she was giving the Bible study, and she was like, can y'all please come back? And we said, we said, wait a minute here. We said, we are helping you, so pass this on, because these kids, they were like, I want to one they do what you're doing. I said, you're encouraging these kids. They're all learning English because they all didn't know how to speak it properly. Her dad, her mom, and the other parents in the room, they learned. And we didn't even know they were in the room. It was so dark in there until they cut on the light. They're like, yeah, some of the parents are here in the back. And so they were like, we're learning English and we're learning about God and we're so excited. And I told the young lady, she was 15 at the time, and she may be getting ready to turn like 17 now. And she said that, you know, she didn't want to do it by herself. And I said that, you know what, you know, there'll come a time, you know, when we may not even be able to ever get over to your country. But you being somebody that has even gathered all these kids to your house, you can carry this on. And so as she built the confidence, her and her family, now they get out of their house and they go around and she speaks, and we're just like, it's amazing. And so I told her, I said, no, you're not convincing me to come back and take that from you. I said, no, you don't do it. You're going to do it. Now, if you don't understand something, then I'm glad to help. But I don't want to take that from you because, like I said, is that there's so many places and countries around the world. And, you know, you may not be able to make it to all of them, but you can teach somebody that they can do it.
And that's exactly what we did. We have a separate, from our shop, we have a separate ministry page on Instagram. So we have two of them, but this one's our private page. And that page was created back in 2015, 16, something like that, 5 years ago. And we on that page, we minister people all around the world, literally. And so we would give a scripture, and then to make sure people understood what that scripture meant, we also explained it, and then we also put a prayer, because we found that people needed the word, they needed to understand it, and they needed a prayer. So our prayers is all over this world, and because you know, you don't think nothing of it at the time. And I love that prayer. I love that you pray. And if we read something up there, somebody's struggling with something, we'll automatically go and we'll send them a prayer, because we want you to know that your brother and sisters all over the world is praying for you and there for you if you need anything. You know, people ask us a lot of questions, and one of those questions is, how do you walk out your faith daily? And this young girl wanted to know that so she can share it with her Bible study group. We get invited on Bible studies and everything. They're like, my God, what in the world? You endured so much. But I don't look at it that way. I look at it this way, is that no matter what I go through in life, and you're going to go through all kinds of things, but God is blessing me to take whatever that situation was and help somebody else, because believe it or not, there's always somebody that has that similar situation, and they ask that one question: how did you get out of it?
Oh, I love that. You guys are so much more than teachers. Honestly, you're just amazing human beings. Like, I love that story that you just told too about that young girl. And it's like you've given her this, not only just the confidence, but just the passion too. Like, she's built this passion to continue. It's like, as two women, you guys can, honestly, you can impact so many, but at the same time, when you teach other people to do what you're doing, your impact just grows, right? And I love that you guys are doing that, because honestly, that's something we talk a lot about on here, is just teaching other people, and how that ripples all the way across the world. And I love that so much. And you guys were talking about how, a couple of things that I really loved. You said about your mom and your dad, and if your best wasn't, if you weren't doing your best, it's not going anywhere. You have to leave the house and do your best. It's so important when you have that family foundation and you have those people in your life. But even if you don't, there are people like Elizabeth and Latonya that are there for you, and they will help you. And, I also love the fact that you help people around the world. So different financial situations, different challenges, and those are the people I find sometimes need more people to believe in them. So I really love that you guys do that, honestly. And you're right. You don't have to, when your mom said, give, but don't expect in return, it's the right way to do it. If you do it from a place of love, you will continue to do it. If you do it from a place of almost like just kind of do it for yourself, it's the meaning isn't there, the impact isn't there. You're not going to want to care to continue. There's a lot of parts to it, but I like to say that every time I give or you give, I'm sure you get back. Mm-hmm. You almost get more than what you're giving. You get this sense of love and this happiness and community, and just it feels so good. And to me, nothing really can replace that, Mm-hmm. So I love this. And I've looked at your Etsy shop, and it's great. I love the products you have on there. They look so fantastic. They look, they're so helpful. And I like to argue, not just for the parents, but for the teachers, right? So it's so great. I mean, there are teachers of so many different levels, and parents who can be more, more involved, and parents who can't, and some kids who don't have parents. And this is something that will help everybody. So I want people, we need to get the word out. I want people to go and look at your resources. I want people to order them and to try them. They're very reasonably priced. And education, it's not something that we should, let go. And if you don't have the means to buy the product, find a way to do it, because I find that there is no price, there's no price on education. You can't put a price on that. And the more people you teach, the more you learn too, and the better your life is. And I can just, if I could like go into your brains and think of all the stories you guys have done, and all the people, incredible people, and stories just like the one you shared with us, it's, I would have loved to like be there right alongside you and just see all the impact that you're creating. I think that's amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
It was definitely something that I think that, we never expected God to touch our lives like this. Mm-hmm. And I think, a lot of people that we knew when we were growing up, we tell them that, we're, when we caught up, when we said we're ministers now, we do this now, they said, what? They said, what? I could have never thought that you would have grown up to be a minister, and I didn't think that you would be so heavily involved with other people and stuff. And I was telling my sister yesterday, I said that, you know what? I said, but I can believe it. I said, because every kid, when we were growing up, if there was a new student in the classroom, we just had to meet them. And they had to meet everybody that we met. And we were just always involved with somebody and wanting the best for them. Yep. And so I said that I could see it. I never wanted anything bad for anybody.
I love that. Sometimes I ask my guests, what is the biggest gift you have ever given to yourself that changed the way you felt about who you are? So I'm going to ask you guys individually, because, there's been so many different answers, and I love them, because I get to learn a little bit more about you. And, so many times we don't allow ourselves, and we don't give permission to ourselves to do something for us. As givers and heart-centered people, I know you guys give so much, and sometimes it's hard. It's hard to have that time and just say, I need to give something to myself so I can be the best person that I can, so I can continue to give, so you don't burn out, and you don't, have all, because it, working as hard as you do, it can get tiring, right? So what kind of gifts do you give yourself personally to help you?
For me, Dr. Latonya, church, and it's church. It's always been something that gives me peace and keeps me grounded in missions work, because not only am I going for somebody else, it's also transforming and changing who I am each time. Because I leave one way going there. I come back a different way. Okay, wait a minute. this was wrong. Let me fix that. Next time we're going to do something a little different. You know, I always look at it, how can I be the best version of myself, as well as helping somebody else. It helps me. That's my gift to myself in helping others, because this last mission trip that we went to, before we getting ready to hit the ground running on some other things, but this last one, Fort Payne, and people can see that on our YouTube or TikTok. They can see that journey on that one. I went down there. It wasn't quite on my radar, but then I heard God say that you need to go there. And sure enough, I needed to go there. I got what I needed, as well as providing for them and training them and helping them get evangelism for the kids and their community, bring their community together with a local church. But it helped touch my heart and change things so much for me. You know, even though I did all these things in life, it helped change me in a way that when I came back, now me and my sister, we are even more heavily in missions nationwide. We just up to do nationwide crusades, putting it together from the ground up, working with pastors and training those pastors, prison ministry for youth, and helping them. So, you know, from that moment, that gift, it led to a bigger gift, you know, because I never would imagine putting together or training people to evangelize out here, the homeless people, the people that are drug addicts, alcoholics, you name it. And we go to the worst of the worst part to help people. And I truly believe that's important. I do believe the church and the community should go to the worst part. What you gonna go to the good part for? They good. You know, you want to go to the worst part, because the Bible tells you, you know, the good commission, you know, go to every nation and, you know, minister to them. And if we're going to the good part, we're never meeting those people. We're never meeting those people on the street. We can feed the homeless, but have you ever really talked to them?
Yes.
Cared about what are your really needs is. Me and my sister, we went to a homeless shelter down in Atlanta. I can't think of what the name is at the moment, but that would forever change me. And I've seen homeless people, you know, throughout my whole life, but that would forever change me, because we went and fed the people, and then they also ministered and everything. It forever changed me, because there were so many people that it was wrapped around the building, and you couldn't feed them all. And that upset me the most, that somebody's running to the gate and that, do you have any more food? And nobody's prepared enough to feed so many people. So many people that's homeless. There's not enough shelters. There's not enough jobs for them. You know, seeing these people live on the street, you know, if you go to downtown Atlanta, the rough part, you'll see a lot of these people. It's like, almost the way I would describe it is like a prison yard. It's just like that. You see all these groups of people just out there and fenced in and in this community. And it's so super sad to see something like that. And, you know, I do believe when it's all said and done, me and my sister is going to figure out something for that as well. You know,
I got a few ideas, you know, because I have been thinking for years. I told my sister I had been thinking for years of what we could do to help people that are homeless. And I wanted to, you know, just like with the education, I want to go beyond what is out here presented to people, because I want more resources available. So that's something that I want to, while we're working within the ministry, is to figure out how we can bring that dream that I got to life, to helping more people. Because I just, you know, that them being on the street and other people needing education and stuff, that's something that could easily happen to anybody.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, you know, I just think that it's very important, you know, to not only, you know, have a dream, but to also work towards that, fulfilling it. And you know, so also for myself, when I look at a gift, for me, I was looking at, you know, that shop that we made. That was actually the best gift that I think that we could have ever designed. And you know, and I looked, and one day, you know, when I saw just one sale, I just threw a big old party. I said that this is great. I said somebody's looking at the store and they're looking at this educational stuff. And I said that, you know, we spent, you know, almost a year perfecting things, because we're like, I don't like this, and I want this to look like this, because I don't want it to be presented, you know, halfway. I want kids to be able to learn. I want their parents to be able to learn. If they don't know that level, then they can learn with their kids. And that's why me and my sister, we also write children's stories, but we hadn't got into we had wrote them and then we set them to the side, and then we sit there and we're like, okay, pull it back out, and then we look at it and we're like, you know what, we want to come out with these because kids love to read. And we said, how can we make this interesting? And you know, so me and my sister, we, you know, we got that mind that this thing way out there. We're like, okay, we're gonna make some really funny stories. And so and then recently we were like, you know what, how about this? We take what has happened with us in life and turn it into a children's story.
Yeah, we did.
So we're like, you know, we did some really goofy things as some kids, and we said this, and it has a lesson, because we like, our mom was always telling us, we did something that she was like, you know what, that wasn't right there, you know, and you need to learn a lesson about this.
And they turned it into some lessons.
And so, you know, we were sitting there, we're like, okay, you know, we can take this and help another kid, because you know, there are a lot of kids that, you know, are either growing up too fast or they think about doing things. And we said that, you know what, it'd be good of them to see somebody else who probably did what they were thinking about doing and what happened with us. And so, you know, we're very excited about working on that. And we're finally, you know, pushing it back in front of our faces and say, you know, we're gonna put this out, because we think that, you know, reading and going on an adventure is great too.
Yeah, and like my sister said, those stories is based off of me and her, and people would never ever think that. But you know, we got such a creative mind that we'll turn whatever happened to us in life into a child's story. And you know, one thing, we're not artists in that kind of way, but when we worked it with an artist a few years back, when we was building our stories, and so they didn't complete the job, and so I just got to the point. I'm one of those people that okay, you're not going to do it, so I'm going to learn how to do it, and I learned how to draw pretty well, and so from that moment on, we've been drawing our own characters to match with those stories. But even the simplest thing, people will find out when we talk about, we even have our dogs, they got stories, they're in the children's store, and we have 3 goofy dogs. But just the simplest thing, because we learned, you know, in working with people and teaching them how to read, that was our job, how to read and write. And so when we do these stories, we do it with a purpose, is that we want you to enjoy what you're reading, find it funny, fall in love with the characters. Parents, read with your kids. We're doing this for a reason. And we want you to learn and comprehend what you're learning with these stories. So that everything that we do in that shop is to learn something or to inspire a person.
Because if we didn't know how to do something, we sought out somebody to do it. You know, like my sister was saying with the drawing and stuff, still today, you know, we can draw people, but we may not be able to draw an animal or something other. We're like, okay, I know an artist that I really love. We're gonna talk to this artist, and you know, they can take on that challenge right there, because I can't do that right there. Or you know, you may not know how to you know, you may have this big character that you can't draw, and you'd be like, okay, at least I know somebody that can bring this out, because I can't do it.
But we're really good at telling a person exactly what we want, and extremely deep. So anybody working with us, we very detailed.
You have the vision, exact vision.
If it ain't right,
It's but at the same time, you know, we bless others in a way that, you know, there's things that we can do on our own, but we also give other people the opportunity. Like my sister said, we work with some artists as well. Even though we draw, you'll see our drawings, and then you'll see an up and coming artist that helps with things and give opportunity. Maybe it's your first job, whatever. You know, if it's something that you're really good at and we love it, and you can execute what our vision is, then we hire you for that. And that's what it's really about. You can't do things by yourself.
Yes, thank the Lord for that. Yes,
to work with others.
Yes, I love that. And you never know, sometimes it might be one of your students that you have that unique gift, and they can work with you. You know, one thing is for sure, you guys make education fun. You make it so fun, and you bring it to their level and teach them the way that they need. You know, I love that so much. And how great is it to have somebody right alongside this journey with you? The fact that you are both, you know, in the same family, and that you're sisters. And, you know, I got to say, your parents, you know, they did an amazing job. Like, you know, I think it's fantastic. It can be, you know, entrepreneurship and changing the world can be a lonely journey. To have each other, that must have been incredible.
It really is. It's an interesting thing, because I've been thinking on making that shop for a long time. I was like, okay, I'll do some research. And I was doing this all behind my sister. She was working. My sister was focused on teaching and stuff. And I was teaching, but I was also thinking, I was like, I want to do this here. And so then I talked to my sister. I said, what do you think about doing this? She said, yeah, that's something that we can do down the line. I was like, well, let's bring it a little bit closer. You know? I looked up, and we didn't even have anything fully created. I'm like, I opened the store. She did. I said, I opened the store. And she said, you did what? I said, I opened the store. I said, now we're really going to have to do this. We're going to have to put this stuff in the store. We're going to have to create everything that we thought about doing. And I said, because, you know, if we keep on talking about doing this, I said, we may not do it. And so my sister like, yeah, you're right. And then, you know,
let's do it.
My sister and me, you know, we were really workaholics and stuff. So when it came to teaching, we were like, okay, if you got something where we're teaching at daytime, and you got something at nighttime where we're going to meet kids at nighttime, we're like, we'll go ahead and do that too. And so we started looking, and we're like, you know what? I don't have time to create the educational things. And so then we had to be like, okay, I'm going to take this amount of time away from teaching, and I'm going to start plugging in time in between teaching and stuff to create these things, because we were looking and we were like, okay, although we're sitting here teaching, you only got a good 30 minutes to teach it. And the bad thing about it is that we looked up and we're like, wait a minute, why is the classroom closing at 25 minutes? And we said, that's not 30 minutes. And they said, well, we take 5 minutes off there. So I said, well, you got to explain to me why 5 minutes is taken off this class, because I was about to be at the end of the lesson, or I wanted to explain to them so that then they could carry on. And they're like, oh, well, that's the next teacher's thing. And I said, well, you know what? I started realizing, okay, I said, okay, looked at the student, I said, what do you know about this lesson already? I said, we're going to go to another part of it. I said, because we're not getting cheated today. I said, if you know this part right here, then we're going to move on to communication or something else. And therefore, we're going to summarize all this in the end. So then, you know, you got a good idea of what you're doing next time. Because a lot of people, they didn't even know about what was going to happen next time. And so they get the next lesson, and they're like, I don't understand, because I've never seen communication before, but world communication now. And I said, how's this? How can you do that there? And they're like, well, we got to keep going, because they learned that in school. And the kids like, I might learn some of that, but I didn't learn all of that. Said, I don't know where the punctuation goes. I don't know about the verbs. And so when we were looking at this, we said, you know, we're going to make this shop bigger than you know we could ever imagine, because you know we want you to learn your adverbs and your verbs, and we want you to learn how to write and read. And you know we're going to get into a lot of things, because you know having that availability for resources is a great thing. You know, it's also our goal to be able to send things over to different countries, just like we did with the instruments and stuff, putting them into the format where they can be physically given to different places.
Yes. And you know what I loved about your shop? I was looking through and I saw affirmation cards too. And I think that's so important because, you know, alongside teaching them, you have to kind of boost their confidence, right? You have to make them believe in themselves. And a lot of these kids don't. And so I think that's something you do have to do alongside of that, right? And this is why I love it so much. We talk a lot about on this show about finding your passion, you know, finding what you're excited about, but also what causes you want to help, you know, and it's like you guys have done this, you've merged, you know, you found this is what I'm passionate about. And these are the types of people I want to help. I want to help, you know, kids, and I want to help people around the world who don't have a lot of support system, you know, and look at what comes from it. Like you look like you're enjoying your life so much. You're making all this impact. And I think, you know, this is a great example, like this whole podcast episode, this whole conversation we're having is a great example of why you need to give to yourself. Like give yourself those gifts and then look at what can become, you know, don't just live every day. You know, you go to work at a job that you don't love and, you know, you come home and you do the same thing every day. Open up your mind, see what is possible. And, you know, thank you so much, ladies, for doing that. And I want to continue to follow you and see all the amazing things that you guys are doing. I think it's fantastic. You've dedicated, you know, everything that you love and turn that into how you can help other people. And it's not just with the education, right? When you were talking about the homeless people, as well that you help. My son started a homeless drive here in our community when he was 6, and he's 15 now, and he still continues it. And although, yes, the primary need is food for these individuals, the thing that I realized that they appreciate the most is that we stopped and talked to them and didn't walk around them and see their face. They have a story. They're a human being, you know, and to treat people with respect and just treat people, we're all equal, you know, no one, regardless of money, you know, your story, where you live, your circumstances, your education, we all just need hope and we need a chance to believe in each other. So thank you so much for talking about that as well. I love it. Love it all. So where can we find you on Etsy? How can we get your products into the homes of everyone?
So for our shop, just go to etsy.com/shop/ELR shop, and it'll bring us up, and it's just like the banner back here. You'll see us on the banner, and because we wanted to make that personal. You'll see us on the banner, and you'll know that's our shop. And if you stroll down, you'll see some links to like Pinterest, YouTube, and things like that. And if you definitely go on our YouTube, I think it's like the About page, it'll have every link to every social media that you can find us on. Each social media, because of the social media, you can only get so much on the social media. YouTube is the biggest one that you're going to see a lot of more in-depth. But if you're trying to get a snippet or anything like that, sign up for join us on TikTok. We're always encouraging people. Lord have mercy on that. YouTube, our journey seems to be blowing up 2.K something. I don't know.
Yes, you deserve it.
People are seriously interested in our ministry journey. And so you can see different things. You can see different interviews, and each interview, it will talk about our shop and what we was doing at each time. But most importantly, I want people to take a look at these interviews, because including yours, is that each one of them, we talk about things that are important and what's happening now today and how to help somebody. I did not want people ask, okay, can you speak on here and everything? I want the shop to be awareness about the shop, because I want to educate people and inspire them. And those proceeds go to missions work. It go every single drop. It goes to helping somebody. And that's why it's important that people buy, and not only buy, but educate and inspire yourself. Maybe it's not you. Maybe you're a little bit older. Maybe it's somebody you know that can use it. Maybe it's a shelter. A woman took a coloring book, and we are intentional about our coloring book. We want you to be educated. We got a coloring book about African American hairstyles. We want to educate you in whatever creative way we can. And you know, with these podcasts and interviews, we talk about serious things. We talk about Christian relationships. We talk about religion. We talk about schools, the school system, and everything that's important that's happening out here in our world, because we want to talk about it. And then you also get Elizabeth and I, we're giving out videos of us interviewing each other and talking about things as well that's important, because trust me, we got a lot to say.
I love it. I love it.
So people will see all of that.
Yeah. And I'm going to put all the links too on the show notes, and everybody can follow you. And you know, I'd love to have you back someday and see how things are going. And yeah, is there anything you guys want to end with on today's show that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
Well, we're getting ready to do a huge crusade, four of them. And it's going to be Washington, D.C. for next year. And it's at the roughest of the roughest places. And, you know, if people just be in prayer with us and you know, just support us through the educational materials and things like that. You know, we're going to touch people's lives at a bigger stage now. We're training people in their clergy, and we're training people and helping the church get back to helping others in a way that brings them back to the church. We don't want people outside of the church. We want them in the church, and you know, we want them put together so they can go back out here and do the same thing we're doing.
Yes.
That is our dream. That is our goal. And that's why we're training. We've been blessed with an opportunity. We literally just want to help. We went to help somebody and they gave us a job. We just wanted to volunteer. No. Here's your job.
And the funny thing about it is that me and my sister were like, you know, we've been asked, you know, to create a curriculum for kids stuff, but we was teaching at the time, so we just didn't have the time. And so now they're like, aha, we got you, because now you got to create that, help with that curriculum and do this and stuff. And we're like, you know, okay, you know, this is a bigger blessing to us than anything, because, you know, it's a dream to us, because you know, I can remember sitting in church and wanting to help and asking, can I be a part of this? No, you can't be part of this. And saying, well, can I do this here? Well, you can do this right here, but not this here. And so we're like, you know what? We're going to create some opportunities where people can go beyond that and be able to help people in a bigger spectrum, because you know, you can't just limit what you can do to help people to this small thing. It has, you know, you have to blow it up.
Yes.
And go beyond that, because, you know, if you just stop at, well, you know, I'm just going to give people food. Well, you can give them clothes too. You can sit there and talk with them. You can you know, spend time with them. And, you know, and we're learning so much about people from just taking that time out. And that's something that, you know, a lot of people are going to learn, because they do not do it.
Yes. And the incredible thing is, people always think that, you know, oh, I can't help because I don't have money to give. Most of the best things you can do are free. Share your time, share your knowledge, share your education, teach. That stuff doesn't have to cost, you know? And yeah, I love that. And people use that as an excuse sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
They do, you know, these crusades are going to be extremely important, because we're going to see people that have mental health conditions. We're going to see alcoholics, drug addicts, gangbangers, people from homeless people that in the worstest of their worst shape. And then some may be all put together, but still need Jesus. And so, you know, we're going to feed these people, not only feed them, but 3-course meals and provide for them things that, you know, that you know, some places they'll provide things, but they only go so far. Our goal is to take this extremely farther than any man in history or woman has in history in helping somebody and people nationwide. And that is our dream and our goal, to take and do that and to impact people in the roughest place
and
put them back in church. If they drug addicts, get them in a facility. If they're homeless, get them in a facility to be safe and all kinds of things.
So Latonya, if someone is not buying in your shop for whatever reason, but they want to donate to the crusade, is there a way that they can do that? Without going through Etsy? Is there a way that they can help support? Because, you know, you do need donations to make these things happen.
We don't have anything quite set up yet. YouTube would have it, but we don't have it just yet.
Okay, well, they can email you maybe, you know?
Yeah, they can email us and maybe mail a check or whatever, or maybe they might want to just buy something and just give it away.
Right.
And so you can do it that way. Go through the shop. It might not be for you. Just give it away to a shelter.
Yes.
And you know, either those ways will be helpful. Just doing those things.
Yes, absolutely. I want to thank you, ladies. Honestly, thank you so much. Not just for coming here, but for not giving up, for continuing to do what you're doing. I know that you love it. I could tell the first 5 minutes we spoke, but to do it tirelessly day in and day out and not, you know, not give up on people. And I want to say thank you very much for your dedication.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we love what you do.
Oh, thank you.
We definitely want to spread the word about everything that everybody does to help. So while you're following us, we're gonna be following you. We're like, we want to know, because whenever we get resources and things fixed up, you know, we want to be able to send things your way, you know, when you're doing something somewhere. So you know, that is the goal, because you know, we all can help one another.
Yeah.
Yes. And maybe one day we'll do a project together. You know, would love that.
And that'll be great.
Thank you so much. And yeah, everybody, you know, support these lovely ladies, Dr. Elizabeth and Latonya Rainwater. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please subscribe or leave a review. See you next week on the Giving Starts With You podcast.